Hi there, welcome to the Raven's Call. I'm Eric Wordweaver Sjerven, Goalie of the Ridgar folk. I'm your host. For those of you that have been around, you know this is where I ramble on about different heathen-related subjects, just kind of whatever catches my fancy at the time. So, today is going to be a follow-up on a video that I did way back when this channel first started out. Matter of fact, it's probably been right about a year since I've done the video in question. I'll have to go back and look at the specific dates, but you guys will remember. It's one of my most viewed videos. It's Grassroots Heathenry. And the gist with Grassroots Heathenry is that, from my standpoint, you know, I'm not particularly down with national orgs, okay? And that's national organizations. For those of you that are new to the channel or haven't watched that particular video or just don't know what a national org is, there are a number of organizations that operate on an almost national level, a large regional level, that are not tied to specific geographic locations, but usually operate as an overarching large community, for lack of a better term, okay? They're not a community, and I can go on to why. They may be a conglomerate of communities, but they themselves are not. And I'm not going to get into specific groups. You will recognize some of the names, and I will throw some of these out there because I'm not making any judgments. I'm just telling you these are kind of examples of national orgs. There's the Troth, there's the Alsa Alliance, TAC, which is the Alsa Community, I believe, the AFA, which is Alsa Folk Assembly. Them I'm not a fan of, not in the slightest. But anyway. It goes on and on and on. There's a number of organizations. Those are your main ones that you see mostly pop up in the headlines. There's, of course, the Odinic Rite and things like that. Some of these groups come from shady backgrounds. Some of them come from very nice backgrounds. But I still don't like the idea of a national org when it comes to heathenry. Heathenry is about grassroots. Heathenry is about Inagard. Heathenry is about those folks that are next to you, that you share community with. It's not about, you know, what somebody on the East Coast is doing. It's, you know, the idea of having Yule, for example, if I was going to do like a national org type Yule celebration where you've got people from all over the U.S. coming together to celebrate Yule in a specific location, that sounds like a nightmare to me, because that's not what I want out of Yule. I want my Innengard. I want my family, I want my tribe, I want my people that I interact with whom I share weird, not with these people whom I'm on a list with online and have no actual ties with. Now, I realize you guys interact with each other online, and I can't dog national organizations completely because some great networking occurs in there, some great information sharing occurs in there. That's just not for me, okay? I realize it is for some people. You guys like it. You find your place in it. I don't mean to dog that. I'm just not a fan of national organizations, and I won't belong to any. Toyed with it some in the past when I was a young heathen, and quickly found out that's just not for me. I'm a grassroots heathen kind of guy. I like to see movements come from here, at the family. Heathenry starts at home, and then you build a community. So we're going to come back into this world from that video that we talked about before. It's kind of a rehash of what we did last time. But I've got a couple of things that keep coming up, okay? And this is specifically in relation to community building. And I get a lot of guys who've come on, a lot of guys and gals, who are trying to build communities in their areas. And we've got a number of spin-off groups that are trying to kind of shadow some of the stuff that I've done with East Texas Heathens, my ETH group, and just kind of wanted to touch base on some of that for y'all that are trying to do some community building in your area and help you to kind of set the compass and reorient a little bit, and maybe give a couple of tips and tricks while we're at it, okay? So the first thing, I'm going to throw out there, and this is something that I see recurring constantly, with some of you guys that are established heathens and have been at it for a while, with some people that are newbies. It varies. And here's the thing. You cannot conflate community and tribe. These two things are separate, okay? The problem that I'm seeing, guys, is that there's a rush to create tribe or kindred. And I will use those terms interchangeably. It's tribe for me, but I realize some people still utilize the kindred format. I just don't utilize the kindred format because it doesn't grow out of the Wiccan coven format. That's kind of where that kind of found its root. I'm more of a tribal heathen in that respect, as far as the infrastructure and everything that we utilize within the tribe goes. So, you cannot rush tribe. I slowed down for that one. You cannot rush tribe. It's not something that you can magic up. It's not something you can force to happen. Tribe occurs in its own time. That's not something that you can... Tribe is a tree, all right? You hear me come back to it all the time. Heathenry is a tree. The tribe is a tree. Everything's a freaking tree. There's a reason for that. We come from tree souls. It's where the Fera soul comes from, that wild. And so I go back to those wild type elements. And so my imagery frequently comes to the tree. That's just something that works for me. So a tribe is like a tree. You have to plant the seed and let it grow. If you rush it, if you try to force the growth too fast, then there's malformations, there's poor root structure, there's all sorts of things that go wrong, and ultimately the sapling dies. Almost without fail. If you rush the growth, the sapling dies. It cannot stand up to the rigors of time and weird if there is not foundation and rooting. You have to give it time to grow up. It has to come from strong roots. You have to grow roots before you can grow the trunk, before you can grow the branches. That's just how it works. You cannot grow branches with no trunk and no roots. If you grow trunk and branches and no roots, you're going to fall over at the first breeze, let alone an actual storm. So, and just the flip to that is that if you go all roots, you can stagnate. Anyway, we've done the whole tree thing, but this is the essence, guys. I see a lot of people online, specifically, that are trying to create their tree. They're trying to nurture their tree to grow, and they're getting over anxious. They're getting excited because heathens are social creatures. We want other heathens around us. We want to be normal for a bit. I can tell you guys a story back from my time in Lightning Across the Plains, LATP, which was an event that was hosted every year by Yolton's Bane Kindred up in Kansas. It was Kansas City, but I think it was on the Kansas side. Anyway, Camp Gaia, wonderful, beautiful pagan camp up there. And here's the thing about LATP. This was like, because Yolton's Bane Kindred did such a fantastic job putting this thing on, and people came from all over the U.S. to gather up and interact face to face. It wasn't a national org kind of thing. It was a grassroots kind of thing. It was people coming together and doing. We were the doers. We were not dependent on anyone else higher up the food chain. We were the ones there doing what we did. We helped each other out. Those guys did a tremendous amount of work and took on a tremendous amount of headache and helped to organize all of this. But the people that taught the classes at the conference were us. I taught a few classes while I was up there. The people that did the rituals were us. I did a couple of rituals while I was up there. That's where Ridgar, my tribe, was originally formed, was up there at LATP. And the coolest thing about it was that we were at like... One year we were at like 250 heathens on this hill. 250 heathens on a hilltop together. And that was it. Heathenry was normal. You could sit there and have a conversation with somebody and not have to explain weird or orlog or, to set the context for your Nidog reference or your Beowulf reference, You just jumped in there and talked about it, If you wanted to discuss the Unferth episode and Beowulf as it pertains to Sumbul, you just did it. You didn't have to educate someone on who is Unferth, what is a Sumbul, and why are you reading Beowulf and it's not school. That was cool. That was neat. That was amazing. And I know why people want it. It's the same reason that we built our community here in East Texas. It's the same reason that so many other people have built communities in their areas. because we need it. Because heathenry is a social folkway. It's not something one does typically solo. It's arguable whether or not one can effectively do it solo over the long term. So, given that information, I understand why people will jump at trying to build community. Here's the message and the story and whatever moral you want to apply to it. Slow down, guys. Don't get over anxious. Don't rush things, okay? You have to crawl before you walk when it comes to building community. I've seen people try to throw up different moots. Like I call moots just kind of a meeting. I call my park moots. They're just gatherings at the park. They're park meetups is what they are. But it kind of gives it a cool heathen aesthetic to use the term park moot. So that's what we call them, park moots. And we will go through and do a certain number of park moots throughout the year. Last year we tried to do one every month except for a couple of months where we had to take some time off. We haven't set the schedule for 2019 yet, so I'm not entirely certain how many we're going to have, what the frequency is going to be. But still, on the regular, I host get-togethers out there at the park where we sit for a couple of hours and we just enjoy each other's company, all right? Now, I've seen people try to start these things and already start to establish like things, which are governing bodies for a local region. I see people that are trying to start up essentially the roots of tribe or kindreds way too soon. You don't even know the people you're interacting with yet. You've got people that you're getting together with for the holidays or for holy tides or rituals, and you've never met them before. And you're about to share weird with these people. You're about to share a horn and cymbal. You're about to let them in as you put things in the well. You are going to mix their weird with your own, and the only interaction you've had with them is online. Here's some stuff that I do. Take it as a grain of salt, but do with it what you will. I never sit in ritual with somebody I don't know. The only exception to that has been LATP, where I knew enough of the people that overall the ritual was anchored well enough that I felt everything was going to be safe and strong. Plus, the Grithstead was well established, etc., etc., etc. It worked, okay? But park moots or pub moots or whatever it is you set up, not the place for ritual, okay? You're not getting together to do heathenry. You're getting heathens together to interact. It's about the heathens interacting. It's not about getting together and doing the rituals. It's not doing symbol. It's not doing blot. You don't want to do those things at these moots because you don't know who you're interacting with. You don't know if these people can be trusted. You don't know if they're going to be flakes, if they're going to be flaming racists. You don't know what you're getting into. And you may not want to mix weird with these people on that level. So I highly recommend you don't do that. And then, of course, you've got to pay attention to your spacing. You're talking again about people you don't know. A lot of people you're going to be meeting for the first time. I do mine in the park, which is a public park, no pay to access, really simple. And the reason that I do that is because people can come and go as they please, and they can just walk up on it, or they can walk away, and there's no big deal. It's neutral ground. It's safe space. We declare a Grithstead by opening up the meeting. It's very, very loose. The only time I ever have any kind of real structure to it is if I'm teaching a class or something like that. But even then, most of the time, it's just us getting together and BSing about heathen-related stuff. Or sometimes it's just heathens getting together and geeking out about, sci-fi stuff, gaming stuff, video games, movies, TV shows, whatever it is that strikes our fancy. It's about building community. It's just about being together. It's about sharing time and space and building weird by doing that. A number of those people that I have gotten to know over the years, I have allowed to come out to our place and join us in ritual. But those are specific cherry-picked individuals that I trust and that I like and that I'm all right with sharing weird with. There are individuals that have come to ETH over the years that no longer come, and these are people I would not have shared weird with in ritual to begin with. But they no longer come to the group, and that's for the best because their ideals did not match up with our ideals. And that's fine. There are places for people with their ideals, but it wasn't our group. So that's kind of the thing. The meetup groups that you start up to start building community are just that. They're meetup groups. They're groups designed to get together and share space, get to know one another in a safe environment, a declared grithstead, which, you know, grith is a declared peace, as opposed to frith, which is the natural, organic, shared obligation and peace that occurs within family and near and dear, in and gaff kind of stuff. This is very much a ceasefire location. And so that's the thing about the Park Moon. It's just a meet-up place. It's just a get together, hang out, spend time together. You can do it at the library, you can do it at a pub, you can do it at a restaurant, you can do it at a park, you can do it at a bowling alley, whatever. You know, activities are fun because they give you something to kind of break the ice with, but they're not necessary. You know, most of ours is spent sitting around a picnic table at a public park, and they go great. People love them. Sometimes I'll schedule activities. Sometimes I'll teach classes. It's just whatever helps to kind of grease the wheel and get things going. But essentially, one of the key things here is that it's just a meetup. It is not a recruiting ground for kindred or tribe. Now, we'll come back to that. It's not set up as a recruitment drive or membership drive for my tribe. Okay, when I do ETH, it is not a membership drive for my tribe. There have been members that have come into the tribe from ETH. Hell, our tribe was born out of ETH. But it's not like when we go in, I'm sitting here trying to sell the tribe to people and trying to bring people into the tribe. It's not like that. I'm just getting to know other heathens, and they're coming out and we're sharing information, sharing knowledge, getting to know one another, and establishing some kind of community in the area. By virtue of the fact that all of the heathens in the area come to this thing, the ones that aren't so insular that they don't leave their farms. There's a few of those. Just by virtue of that, that means that any kind of tribal growth that's going to occur is going to occur from that area, most likely. So, you know, the last couple of members that we've gotten out of the tribe have come from ETH, but they weren't like, we didn't seek them out through ETH. ETH isn't a recruitment drive. So you've got to remember that too. Your community-driven activities are not recruitment drives. If they're recruitment drives and you go in with the mindset of finding people to build tribe with, you will chase people off and they will not keep coming back. And the only ones that you will have end up sticking around are going to be the ones that have a power trip because they see a forming group and see an opportunity to steal power by getting involved in this and taking over, or that like to sow chaos and therefore see this fledgling group and want to get in there and muck things up from the ground up. That's typically what you're going to find. You're going to find a few decent ones, but for the most part, if you go digging for heathens, you're going to end up with the crazies because they're looking for a shovel to jump on. Most other heathens are sitting back watching and waiting and seeing. So the way you build tribe through these community things is that you host community events. You host park moots, pub moots, library moots, whatever. Host these events, get people together, do it consistently, plaster it everywhere on Facebook showing that you are indeed getting together. This is indeed a thing and people are indeed showing up. That way more people will want to come. Utilize Facebook, utilize whatever kind of social media you can, because let's face it, guys, that's today's day and age. That's where most of your contacts are going to come from, social media. There's not a whole lot of ways to go out and put, a flyer on a board somewhere for a heathenry group. I did that one time when I taught a heathenry 101 class at a local library, and I did plaster it up everywhere, and the only people that came to the class were the ones that I knew personally, because that's just not how you do things now. If I had gone through and plastered it on social media, I'm sure I would have gotten more, but that's not how I went about doing it. And so it didn't work out the way I wanted it to, but that's okay. Live and learn. So maintain consistency, host these get-togethers, and don't think that it's got to be an expensive thing. Don't think that you've got to put on a big spread or host people at your house. No. You can do a moot and it not cost you anything. Literally, you can go to a moot at, say, the park, if you've got a public access walking park or kid park, dog park, whatever, that doesn't require any kind of entry access. You can go there, sit, talk, and leave, and never have spent a dime other than whatever mode of transportation you use to get there and back, and maybe if you decide to eat. But that's not actually part of the event. That's just part of being alive. So the gist here is that it does not have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be an expense at all, other than just the natural expenses you incur by existing day to day. So consistently do this, consistently go, and the cheaper and more accessible you make it, the more likely you have that other people are going to come. You got to think about your venues too. Pub moots are great, but who are you going to get a pub moot? You're going to get adults who like to be around drinking environments. You're not going to get kids, which are, an important part. You're not going to get families with kids, which are an extremely important part. You're also not going to get adults that don't like to be around drinking environments, say ex-alcoholics or people who've been from abusive relationships, things like that. You limit your field when you host it at something like a pub. If you go to like a restaurant, then you limit your field by financial accessibility. All of these different venues have different bars to entry. Starbucks kind of coffee shop type thing, cool. Those work pretty well because usually your bar for entry is about $8 to $10, maybe less depending on what it is you actually drink there or get. Plus, you can just walk up, talk to a group, and not actually have to spend any money. But even if you did, the bar to entry is still usually sub $10, so per person. So that's an important thing to think about: accessibility, and especially as you get regulars built up, the ones that come out all the time, you got to think about what venues you can do that will incorporate and accommodate them, because you're going to end up with a core group that comes out all the time. ETH has got a core group of maybe a dozen people that make the event consistently. Here or there we hit or miss, but for the most part we got a core group of about a dozen people that are there and consistent. We get a bunch of other people that are hit and miss here and there. We'll come this time and then you won't see us for another 6 months, but all of a sudden, hey, we're here again. And then I get a lot of people that come one time and then that's it, and they never come back. And there's various reasons for that. Part of it is that it's just not necessarily what they're looking for. Maybe they're more of an avenue of heathenry that's not our avenue of heathenry. Okay, that's fine, no big deal. They go off and find something that fits them better. Sometimes it's just a difference of ideals, of opinions. Some people just think I'm crazy, so there's that too. So the gist here is that, you're going to have that core group, and you need to accommodate that core group. Like, for example, with an ETH, we've got an individual couple that comes, and they always bring their dog. And they travel with their dog because they travel quite some distance to come to the park moots, but they never miss a park moot. And so it's a little bitty dog and fairly easy to accommodate, dear, sweet little thing, and fairly, very easy to accommodate. And as a result, we try to plan out our destinations based on where we can take puppers, because little Dixie can land, and there's a specific bar that we can go to after a park moot where they've got an open area that does allow dogs. So boom, awesome, we'll go there. We keep that one in the back burner, knowing that we can go there. We know that when they're coming like that, we probably can't do a big sit-down restaurant because it's a little bit more difficult to accommodate the dog, and we definitely want them to be involved. So minor rearrangement on the schedule, and we are good to go. So think about who you got coming, learn who your regulars are, accommodate them, but also maintain accessibility for newbies. Anything that costs money or incurs any kind of effort really is going to be a bar to entry, because people, and here's the thing, when it comes to online heathens, all right, there's a lot of online heathens that want to click to something because they want to belong to something, but never actually want to get off their butts and go into the outside world and do anything. You're not interested in those people. Sorry guys, I know some of you are great minds, you're fantastic individuals, but unless you're actually getting up and going out and doing something heathen, what are you bringing to the community? That's a challenge to you guys to become more active and to actually go to some of these meetups. If you see a meetup and you see that there's other heathens that are trying to do this in your area, support them. Go to the meetup. If you think that they're crazy and that they're people you don't need to be around because they're flaming racists or they're, aggressive, here's the other thing you can do. Start your own. I've explained to you how easy it is. You literally just type up an event on Facebook and say, hey, at 9 a.m. on Saturday, the such and such, I'm going to be sitting at this park, at this bench, and see you there. Boom, park moot. How do you think I do mine? I literally pick a time, a place, and I show up there. That's it. I just plaster the time and place around and say, this is when we're getting together here. See you there. Do they come? Yeah, a lot of them do. A lot of them don't. You're going to see a lot of keyboard heathens that are not going to get up and go. They will talk trash all day long on the internet. They will think they know everything there is to know about heathenry, about the logistics. They will argue semantics. They will argue dates. They will be hardcore this, hardcore that, and they will have never sat and stumbled before. They will have never done bloat before, other than they understand the concepts of it, which is, yeah, that's important. But guys, unless you're actually doing the stuff, you're not really going to get it. There's a physicality and experience element that has to be there. You got to get out and do some stuff. You got to be active to be heathen. And so it's a thing. That's why I do the park moots. That's why we get people out there and do these things. That's why we do our festivals throughout the year, and we do rituals at our festivals to keep those things going and to actively put energy back into the well. You can't be a drain and expect for a community to build up around you. If you're a drain, the only thing that's going to build up around you are the dregs. So, sorry, that's just how that goes. So, you're going to end up with people who say they want to be a part of this, all right? Like, if you look at ETH, I've got some odd 100 people on the group page that are subscribed or members of ETH. And I get new ones all the time. All the time. Of those hundreds of people that are on the group, like maybe a dozen or two, okay, we've got like a dozen in our core group, but like maybe a couple dozen may reply to one of the park moots, saying, maybe I'll be there. I'm interested. Oh yeah, I get dozens of interesteds, I'm interested in this. I'm interested in this. I'm interested in this. No, you're not. No, don't get me wrong. Click interested. Pay attention, because it still keeps you up to date on what's going on in the park moot. You are interested on some level, you just don't mean to go. I guarantee you guys, when you start setting this stuff up, if people say they're interested in going, they're not coming. They're not coming. Not going to be there. Never bank on your interesteds. Only bank on your confirmations, because they're the people that are actually going to show up, and only about 90% of them will actually show up, because you will end up with those that'll confirm and then something will fall through. And it's just natural. That happens. Can't help that. But the interesteds, because here's the deal with the interesteds. If the event comes and they have not decided to come, they're not going to come. If they decide to come, they're going to bump their interested to confirmed, and they will be there. Interesteds almost, and I'm not going to say never, but they almost never show up if all they ever click is interested, okay? So, and that's just how it is. They're showing support by clicking interested. They're showing an interest in seeing these things go forward, but they're either not capable of coming at that time, okay, cool, we get it, we understand, or they're not interested enough to actually get up off their duff and come out and be a heathen. They want to sit at home on their laptop and watch YouTube videos, which is a thing, otherwise I wouldn't be doing my YouTube videos, or chatting on forums and things like that. All good aspects, all good things, how we share information, how we do these things. But you got to get out there. You got to interact with people face to face. You got to get out and do heathenry. The doers are the ones that will inherit the earth, not the keyboard heathens that are experts on this particular passage of the Havamal, but have never actually sat and stumbled before. You got to get out and do. That's what Grassroots Heathenry is about. Grassroots Heathenry is about getting people in local communities out to actively do heathenry. That's what Grassroots is about, all right? It's not about political movements. It's not about any kind of ideology, anything like that. No, Grassroots Heathenry is about getting people out from behind the keyboard and building local communities of heathens doing heathenry. So that's what I'm shooting for here, okay? Now, back to the point that I touched on before I went off on this whole tangent, and that is you have to crawl before you can walk. You got to walk before you run. You have to do these things to get these people out there, and then comes the worthing process that is necessary for building tribe. You have to establish the worth of the other individuals with whom you are interacting, especially at these moots, these meetups, before you make them tribe to you. You also have to prove your own worth to them in these meetups to show that you are someone that they want to tie their weird to. You can't just go in and say, hey, who wants to form a tribe, and then take the first 6 people that raise their hands. That will fail. That will blow up, and it will blow up spectacularly. Always does. Because it's not based on anything. It's based on a whim. And my tribe is not based on a whim. My tribe is based on friendships and relationships that grew up organically. By the time somebody was joining the tribe, it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to be there, because I already knew their worth. I already knew how dear they were to me. And it was like, why are you not in my tribe already? Come on with it. And that's what we're doing. I've got 2 fosters working their way in the tribe right now that it's a formality. They were going through the fostering process because I've known them. I've known them for a while now, and they're Ridgar. They're just working their way in according to protocol. And there's a reason we have protocols. We can't skip over that. Traditions are important for a reason. But I already know them. They've already vetted. They're already worthed. I get it. These are not people that I just met and decided to build a tribe with. Okay, so don't rush it, guys. All right, do not feel the need to host major, serious events. I'm not going to call anybody out on here, but you guys, I know some of you watch the channel, and I felt bad watching this go down because I was like, oh man, you can't really effectively host a large scale Holy Tide festival with people you've never met, and not accommodate certain things like hosting and communication, things like that. But if you try to, these Holy Tides are for tribe, and they're for in and go, they're for important bits. You can have guests, absolutely, but you have to have enough in and go to be able to absorb the guests, etc., etc. It got a little heady, but I think they pulled things off okay. So I'm pretty sure they did anyway. I'm not sure because I didn't stay up to date on everything going on because I have my own tribe stuff going on. But the gist is there were a lot of headaches and a lot of learning that occurred because you need to take time to build up community and then have community-based things. Like, for instance, if I was going to do let's take Midsummer, for example. If I was going to do something for Midsummer, Ridgar's Midsummer, where we do bloat and stumble and all of that, is Ridgar's. I would invite specifically friends of the tribe, and that's who I would have. If I was trying to do like a Midsummer potluck, where everybody got together out there at a park or something like that, that would be under the guise of ETH. Because ETH is not my tribe. ETH is East Texas Heathens. It is its own little thing, and it's just the meetup group. There's no governing body other than the fact that I set everything up and I run stuff. So, I mean, I facilitate it, but ultimately speaking, it's a meetup group. So all it does is provide meetup areas for people to get together and talk about heathenry stuff. So it is not tribe. It will never be tribe. Tribes can grow out of it, like ours did, and others can grow out of it similarly, which is something I always hope to see. But it is not itself a tribe. Now, all of my tribe attends ETH, but that's because they're supporting me, and we use it to help kind of build frith and community in the area, because community building is a big part of my vision for Ridgar in our area. And so we get all these people together. I would have like a cookout or a barbecue or something like that with them, but I wouldn't take all of those people in an open, unsecured venue and do bloat or stumble with them. You know, that's for the in and gut. That's for the closed-in yard. I don't bring in the outside into the inner yard just willy-nilly. That's a risk I take whenever I bring somebody in. And so there are certain times I will extend that risk, but not on the regular to folks that I don't know. So anyway, rambling on, the gist of all of that is take the time, guys. Slow down. Slow down. You can't force tribe. You don't go out and build community by thinking, I want a kindred, I want a tribe, I'm going to build a tribe. No, that's not what you do. You, one, focus on the hearth. Heathenry starts at the hearth, okay? Heathenry starts at home. Build the home. Be a strong heathen. Be somebody that other people want to be around. Two, build community. Get to know other heathens in the area. Establish some interaction. Get a chain of heathens that are interacting and talking to each other and meeting up and sharing time and space together. And then tribe will happen. It'll organically happen. It'll naturally happen. It's a given. At some point in time, it will grow up. Those individuals that are just naturally tight together, that naturally gravitate towards one another, will band around someone who is functionally the leader of the group, and then they will build tribe. And then you can go through and apply the active thought of, you know, what kind of structure are we going to use, what kind of hierarchy are we going to use, etc., etc., etc. Because whatever you build, you do want to be enduring and future-proof. You want it to survive on. And there will be some learning and some hiccups and some bumps and bruises along the way. But frith will grow, and you build tribe out of those that you have established frith with. All right? Frith comes first, then tribe. All right, you don't do tribe and then frith. You build the frith and then the tribe. At least that's how I see it. Okay, so this has been a rather lengthy run at this, but I wanted to come back to it because I see a lot of people that are trying to build tribe. They're trying to build a kindred, and that's the wrong mentality to go in with. Try to build community and let tribe happen. Okay. That's the most effective thing that you can do, because that's what we did. All we did was try and build community, and then tribe occurred naturally, just organically grew. And because there were people in that original group that didn't end up in the tribe because they just didn't gel with us the way that we gelled with each other. You know, other groups have kind of spun off from that. That have done their own thing. So that's what I'm getting to here is. Let things happen. Don't force things. I know it's real easy to get anxious because we want other heathens to interact with. We want to belong. We want tribe. We want these things. I get it. I do. I get it. And I reap the benefits of the hard work that we've done up to this point. But I'm also constantly having to maintain that tribe and constantly having to maintain the relationships tied therein. And I don't always do the best job, and so, you know, that's something that I'm constantly going back to the drawing board and teaching myself more, learning more, having to go back and reevaluate situations, and you know, it's a thing. So, you know, even once you have tribe, it's still hard work to maintain tribe, but you cannot force tribe. That's the thing that you cannot do. You cannot force tribe. So slow down, take your time, let it happen. Okay, focus on meetups, focus on building community, and then let tribe come. It'll happen. All right. So that's kind of the gist of what I'd intended to go on. So this, we're going to call this one Grassroots Heathenry Part 2 or Redux or whatever. I don't care. You know, Grassroots Heathenry 2 Electric Boogaloo. Why not? The gist here, I just wanted to kind of put this out there for you guys and say, I love what you're doing. I love seeing these groups pick up. I love seeing people build communities in their areas. That's exactly what I'm shooting for. It's exactly what I love to see you guys get and understand and jump on. Just simmer down. Slow down. It's okay. It'll happen. It's fine. Take your time. Don't get upset if the first park moot that you schedule involves you and a dear friend sitting there by yourselves in the park waiting for other heathens that will never show up. That happened to me a couple times too. All right, there's a reason that ETH took a hiatus for a few years, is because people quit coming to the group other than the tribe, and so we focused on tribe and let the ETH thing go away. And then I get people coming out of the woodworks, coming back to the ETH page on Facebook, social media, wanting to know, hey, is this active? I'd love to meet up, hook up. When are we going to do stuff again? I'm like, okay, well, let me go through and reactivate all this, and let's go to town. And now we're still going strong. So learn from that, all right? Take your time, do the meetups, get to know people, build community. Do not rush things, and things will work out okay, all right? Now, we'll come back to this in the future, I'm sure, talking about other tips and tricks on what you can do with a park moot, activities that you can do in a park moot, and I'm going to say park moot just because that's what we do, but whatever your meetup template is, there's a lot of things that you can do, a lot of ideas you can apply to those, and I'm going to come back to those specifically for community building purposes, because I'm seeing with my own eyes that this is a need. And so there's going to be a lot of installations here where I'll just come in and we'll talk about some community building elements. So I hope you guys find these to be of some use. This one, I know I went on way too long, but it's important to understand why you don't rush. After that, we'll get into some of the actual practical matters of what you can do when you get together. What kind of activities can you do? What kind of things? How can you pass the time? All right. So we'll be back for those in the future. Thank you guys for watching. Again, if you like the videos, please hit like and subscribe down below. All my contact information is there in the bottom. The more you interact with my videos, the more they get out to you and in front of other people. So thank you guys. Y'all are awesome. Hail. May your ancestors smile on you.